And we're live on the Extraordinary Sports Podcast YouTube channel, baby. I'm just going on a little rant because I'm listening to a lot of these top broadcasters, sports radio people, what have you, give their spiel on what they think is the proper solution to NBA stars sitting. I have a decent proposal here, okay? Right now, we got 82 games. Right now, this season, 2017 season, only a handful of teams had to go 4 games in 5 nights. That's the most gruesome back-to-back with one day off that these guys have to play. And then in terms of back-to-backs in the league, you got the Hawks having the most this season, Atlanta, with 19 back-to-backs, and the OKC Thunder with the least at 13. Okay, so the least amount of back-to-backs, OKC, 13, the most, 19. So here's my proposal. I've heard anything from shorten the season to rearrange the playoff seeding based off of who has the best record head-to-head against people. They're all interesting. I'm not knocking them. But realistically, what if, and riddle me this, you gave the players the power. It's a card they can play several times this season. Of course, this starts next year, 2018. Whenever they want to play it. Maybe it's a 3 to 5 times a year window. Maybe it's 5 to 10 times a year window. Regardless, you give the players the option. Now, here's the catch. They have to, in a 24 to 48 hour window, in advance, let their head coach know they're going to be out for rest reason coming up in X amount of days. Because obviously the argument is, well, little Timmy wants to go see LeBron in Utah and he only comes once a year, or when he comes to the Staples Center and he's sitting out a Clippers game, that's going to cause problems. But if you give the star the hand here and say, okay, 3 to 5 times a year or 5 to 10 times a year, find a happy medium. Because honestly, I think the NBA season is better when it's a little less than 82 games. I think that year that they started late was actually a pretty interesting season. Season in the 60s, excuse me. Give them the player card. Opt out of any game. Ideally, it'd be a home game. Ideally, it wouldn't be a Saturday night ESPN game or a Thursday night TNT game. You let them use it when they need to so that they feel empowered. They're not docked pay. And it's also a little bit of strategy. Because if you're telling LBJ, okay, or Durant, or Harden, or Westbrook, you're in the hunt for the 1 seed, the 2 seed, what have you. Well, not Westbrook this year, but you know what I mean. If you're in the hunt for the top couple seeds and you're able to use this card 5 to 10 times a year, I'm not going to play today, but I'm going to let you know a couple days in advance. There's some strategy. There's a little hand. I think on top of that, there's a little psychology. Because I'm the oldest of 3 brothers, and I love my brothers. Growing up, if I wanted to play a video game that they didn't want to play, all of a sudden I wanted to hop on the sticks. All of a sudden they wanted to hop on the sticks. So if you give guys like Harden and Westbrook the opportunity to miss a game, and then they don't miss a game, guess whose chest is sticking out a little bit farther on the playground than guys that night off. Now, I will absolutely have LeBron's back in this case because the guy's been playing into June since 2011. He's not a Buck or a Sixer, okay, ending his season and packing it in, except for stats, the last month of March and in early April. Okay, the man, and that's a separate argument for how the playoffs are seeded. I think, again, if the first round was best of 3, second round best of 5, and only the conference championship and the finals were best of 7, we'd have an interesting playoffs. Because who the Thrinkus wants to watch Cleveland versus the 8th seed, which is going to be an under 500 team this year, like Milwaukee, for 7 games. We don't want to see it. I don't even want to see the second round in the Eastern Conference Finals for 7 games. But if I watch the Raptors versus the Bulls in a best of 3, I'll tune in. I'll tune in to Jimmy B versus DeRozan 3 times. Absolutely. Last night, great example. Phenomenal game. But back to the regular season. Give these dudes the option. Okay, it's like for me, I get to play the Jew Catholic Guild card because I got opposite parents with religions. Whenever I need to get out of a scenario or fake a phone call, what have you. Either way, I get to play the card. I don't always want to play the card. I'd like to be a normal man in society, not have to use this little extra guilt. But either way, I got the opportunity to play the card. Let these guys next season have an option. Doesn't hurt their stats, doesn't dock their pay, but just a few times a season, give them their hand. Let them choose when they want to miss, because riddle me this, if 13 games for the OKC Thunder, 13 times on the schedule, their back-to-backs can now be rectified by using this card 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, even 4 or 5 times. That cuts pretty much the back-to-backs in almost half. Then they're only having to play back-to-back several times a year. Hopefully it's strategically placed. Hopefully they're home games. I mean, understand it is a star-driven league, but it is a players' league. This is not the Shield. This is not the NFL. All right, we watch for the stars. The stars are the reason we watch. If you give them the hand, I think it will ultimately, in turn, give you a better product. Because I heard this again from Christine Leahy. Great point on Fox Sports 1. Speak for yourself. Talking about, well, if they're mailing in the regular season, why am I, as a consumer, going to want to watch as a fan and someone who's invested in the team as much as I wouldn't if potentially they had a little more vested interest in what they were doing in the regular season? Of course, the regular season matters, but you see a game like the other night where Kawhi was out, Aldridge has a heart issue, Durant went down, so a couple of the guys, according to Kerr, had him sit. We don't want to see that. We really don't want to see that. But I recognize grueling schedule. Honestly, the NBA schedule is without question grueling. And the air flying and everything, the miles, everything adds up. And again, you got to have guys' backs like LeBron, who's playing into June, year in, year out. That's an extra almost quarter of a season we're talking additionally. So again, everyone's speaking their 2 cents round. I just wanted to hop on, say, give the players a little opt-out card. They got to do it 24 to 48 hours in advance, because if the broadcast companies can be malleable and they can say, okay, LBJ sitting out, so is Kyrie on a Thursday nighter against, I don't know, the freaking Bulls again, then maybe we have an opportunity to have something fixed where everyone's happy, everyone gets paid, nothing hurts ratings-wise, and the product doesn't suffer. Because raise your hand if you're going to be pissed if LeBron or Kyrie or K-Love or Durant isn't playing in the NBA Finals this year. I'm going to be bloody irate. Because who gives a frink about a March game when we're talking about a best of 7 in the NBA Finals that they got to gear up for? Let them take a night off. Let them take 2 nights off. Give them that 5 to 10 game window without docked pay, as I'll repeat. And I think we got potentially a solution here. It's my 2 cents. Peace.